Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Tim Meyer, here for the Romeo Sports Recap, powered by the Mitt TV. Remember, this show is available on both YouTube and Spotify. And before we begin, a word from our sponsors. This podcast is powered by the Mitt TV of Romeo, Michigan. If you're looking to start a podcast for your business or personal use, look no further than the Mitt TV. They can get you access to equipment, a production engineer, and can even edit your podcast. That's all right here at the Mitt TV of Romeo, Michigan. And you can contact them right now via email at mitt.tvpodcast@gmail.com. That's mitt.tvpodcast@gmail.com. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Romeo Sports Recap Show. I'm Tim Meyer, and today we have as our guest Romeo Athletic Director Cody Smith. And Cody, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
So we got a little bit of ground to cover. We're going to review and recap all the spring sports. And some teams had some pretty good success. Some players made All-State. It was a pretty good, all in all, a pretty good spring sports season. Your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I mean, I always get the question of like, what sport is season's the hardest for you or the busiest for you? It's spring, no doubt about it. Just because there's everybody going, it always seems at 4 o'clock, and there's always something going on between baseball, softball, tennis, track, lacrosse, golf. Everything's going on all at the same time, and it's definitely hectic.
You have to reschedule because of the weather.
No doubt about it.
Spring is, because there's a lot more outdoor sports going on.
Yeah, very weather dependent. Yep.
So, well, we're gonna cover baseball and softball, girls softball, track, girls tennis, soccer, girls soccer, and track. Primarily here, we've had Michigan Romeo sports recap shows on all those sports except for track, but people can go and look at lacrosse and see for themselves and see some of the kids that played and stuff that did a good job. So let's start with baseball. I believe baseball's 18-18.
Yeah, they're about exactly 500 this year. Yeah,
and they had a few injuries early in the season, cost them a little bit, and those games against Stevenson and Dakota were very close. Well, Stevenson was, and could have gone either way. But a couple key injuries and things didn't quite work out, but they did finish strong. They won a district game.
Yeah, and even just nagging injuries all season that kind of kept some of the guys out of the district lineup. Some of your pitchers that you counted on all season, were dinged up right at the end there, and that kind of made an impact on Coach D's lineup and rotation for the district game. But he threw Kaminsky, and everyone else had chipped in and got us through. My check and those guys, their arms held up.
I think DeBoll was a guy that got hurt. Yeah, his arm. A good hitter.
Yeah,
but his arm was shot. For pitching.
Yeah, because he logged a lot of time at third base and on the mound last year, and this year I think he's primarily a first baseman or DH type role.
Yeah. Anybody make a run at the states or all county?
Yeah, so I think Joey Battlemente and Nick Kaminsky were MAC Red players, all conference players. So those were, honored by some of the other MAC Red coaches for their contributions to our team all season. So I think those are the two key ones that at least other coaches picked up on for their, skills and efforts, and, rewarded them for that.
And the baseball team will have a new baseball field next year.
Construction is going up quickly. So, with the warm winter we had, they were able to start moving some dirt early. But yeah, blink of an eye, it should be done here.
What's it going to look like?
So it'll all be turf, turf infield, turf outfield. It's kind of has like a watermelon, striping to it, like a light green, dark green rotation, kind of how the stadium has that same pattern. And it's going to be nice, state of the art. We're definitely looking forward to it. So it's
luxury suite.
Yeah. You can stand on top of the press box.
Top of the press box and get a good view from up there.
Dual purpose press box now.
Yeah. But tell us a little bit about some of the dimensions there and the features and.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how far the outfield is. It's pretty similar to what we had at the Romeo Middle School behind the middle school there.
Okay.
But it'll be home plate will be facing towards the back of the football stadium, so fans can look down from the bleachers and have that aerial view. So it'll be nice, and then kind of butts up between the tennis courts in the stadium.
Have people talked about it a little bit, or ask you questions about it and buzzed around a little bit?
Yeah, I think now that all the dirt piles are starting to mound up
Yeah.
out there, I think that's definitely getting people's interest of, hey, what's going on out there? Visiting teams will always ask when we're at the stadium, or referees, of what are you guys building out there, that kind of thing. So I think a lot of people are looking forward to it, especially the baseball community. I mean, they're all itching to get out there and hoping to a summer
might be
camp.
a faster game. I mean, the ball will probably take off a little bit. Ellie, but you'll get truer hops.
Yep.
It'll be a bad hop, really.
Yep.
I've never played on it. Of course, we were lucky to have grass in the infield. So.
Yeah, and I think it's coming more and more with Michigan weathers. I mean, if you want to keep some of your games from getting rained out, I mean, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, the change of the game. I feel like we were in Novi a couple years back when baseball won districts and they moved on to regionals or super regionals, whatever it was at the time. And we were facing Brother Rice, and we slid over second base every time we stole or trying to slide into second base, just because our guys weren't used to sliding on turf and trying to get that adjustment down of when to get down, that kind of thing. So it'll take some getting used to, but Grosse Pointe North and South both have turf fields, so they're coming around, and I think now that we got ours in the pipeline, more and more will be asking for them, and seeing what keeping up with the Joneses type thing. So
well,
I
it
think,
looks like I saw a little bit of the construction. It looks kind of cool.
yeah,
Looks like it might be kind of interesting, and I don't know. We'll probably get out there later this summer when they lay that turf down. And just see,
they started turf this past Thursday, and it's almost fully covered in turf now. And
I'll have to go take a look at it.
Yeah, it's looking nice. Yep.
But speaking of new fields, I mean, girls softball is also going to get.
Yep. So softball has they have two fields coming in right next to the varsity baseball field. So varsity softball will be right next to the baseball field, and on the other side of that will be a JV field. So the JV field will still be a traditional grass and dirt field, and then softball will have the varsity softball will have the synthetic turf field. Same thing.
Anything unique about that one? Compared to where they're playing now.
Yeah, it's pretty. I like the design. So in the dirt, they have an R, kind of like at center field, stitched in there, and behind second base, by the circle, the pitching circle. So it's gonna look pretty sharp and state of the art, and looking forward to it.
Well, speaking of the girls softball team, they didn't do too bad this year either. I have them as a 13-8 record.
Overall, I think they were 25-10, somewhere in there, and that was Coach Derek Ganfield's first year with the program. So, they had, seniors. Every position you looked at seemed like they were pretty senior heavy, with sprinkled in with some underclassmen taking on some bigger roles, like on the pitching circle and second and outfield they would kind of rotate in, but majority of them was senior heavy.
Well, they had a couple of good players that stood out for me anyway. Were Jackie LeBlanc, who's not going to be there next year, she's a senior, and Gabby Ganfield.
Yep, I mean, a lot of those girls too are going to play at the next level. I mean, you have Annabelle Power and Aubrey Rich, and like you mentioned, LeBlanc and Ganfield, and Liz Pugh, and a lot of those girls are been in starting roles for 3-4 years now on varsity, and they definitely experienced highs and lows, and I think they had a great season, and we're gonna miss them because they led to a lot of success in the program the last couple of years.
This is Derek's first year.
Correct. Yep.
So will he be back next year?
He will. Yep, he will.
Even though his daughter's gone, he's coming back.
Yeah. So I think that was, some of the questions we had when we were interviewing him, just to make sure he's going to stick around long term. That wasn't just a one and done type thing. So, he's got a lot of plans for the future, and, we're glad to have him.
Anybody
any all county or all state or anything for girls softball?
Yeah, I think a lot of the seniors that we had mentioned, I think LeBlanc was all conference, Pugh, Reynolds, Rich, and Power. I think all those girls were all conference for the Red. I think they finished second in the Red, right
Yes.
behind first place. I think they were 1 or 2 games out of that behind Dakota, so they were fighting for it the whole way.
Well, they did a great job this year. They were exciting to watch and play. I mean, very. If you haven't been to a girls softball game, it's very upbeat and enthusiastic. The girls are really lively. Everybody's into it.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of passion and excitement, and it's going to be interesting. I noticed this when we were at the district games because Anchor Bay had some similar setup. They had their baseball and softball field right next to each other, where ours are, on the same campus at 32 Mile, but, it was a little bit of a hike to get from one to another, where if you're looking from baseball game to a softball game, the speed of play is much faster. The game, you're
Yeah.
right on top of the game at the softball level, and it's, seems like a quicker pace of game and energy and excitement, so, much different style of a similar game.
And they won a district game, but had a tough 3-0 loss to Anchor Bay at the end. It was a pretty close game and a tough loss for the kids, but all in all, not a bad season.
Yeah, and their bats were hot in the first game, and then they got stymied by a pitcher in the district finals, and it sounds like they beat up on Anchor Bay in the regular season. It's just one of those
Yes.
things you play.
That was surprising.
Play the
Surprised me.
game, and you never know what's going to happen. And the bats just kind of went cold that district final game, but still a great season. And I think the girls obviously wanted to finish it off with the district championship, but we're very proud of what they accomplished this year.
And they did a good job. And speaking of another team that plays on turf, boys lacrosse, very young team that came in. They were a little bit below 500, but they were 3-0 in the league, which is good. But it's another sport. It's probably of all the spring sports, it's probably the roughest and the most pain on your body.
Yeah, I give Braden Walls and Ethan Amormino credit, standing in front of the goal trying to block, someone, here, let me throw this baseball at you as hard as I can, and you stop it with the broom.
Yeah,
those guys are...
no, that's I'd be the Matador goalie. Go ahead.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So those guys are definitely brave getting in front of there. But I mean, like you mentioned, getting whacked with a stick and taking some of the shots. And
the kids told me that well, we would rather play lacrosse and have a few bumps and bruises than really hurt myself in football. I go, well, I don't know, man.
Yeah, and injuries happen in both sports. I mean, look at Joey Zyrek, one of our leading goal scorers and top players on the team, and ended up breaking his ankle in the regional semifinal game. So injuries happen regardless of what sport, but
Yeah, there was a funny way that he broke it too. It was almost like a hop jump, and he came down, landed on it wrong.
Mhm.
You'd figure, well, here's a kid that's in great shape. Where was the stress? But apparently must have hit it just right.
Yep, it can happen any.
And
anyway.
Coach Jack Smith beat Eisner a couple times this year with a young team, but he schedules tough teams. I mean, Grand Ledge came here. They're one of the top teams.
Yeah,
in the
he
state.
does not shy down from any challenge, and he looks for it. And like Hazlitt and Heartland and, like you said, Grand Ledge, like some of those teams went on to deep runs in the playoff
And had all staters on their teams.
So he doesn't shy down. His strategy is get him ready early in non-conference games and kind of boost up the state's MPR for playoff seeding, and kind of trying to make a name for himself for the program of playing these hard teams instead of playing some of the lesser teams and beating up on teams by 15 goals. It's better to challenge yourself and push against some of those tougher opponents. So that's his mindset, and it's kind of had some pros and cons, but
I think at the end of the season they were doing really well and just mopped up on some of the teams in the league, which was good. Like I said, 3-0 in the conference. So
yeah, they did have a tough loss against Dakota. I think that kind of set up some of where they were at in the tournament and whatnot. Same with Port Huron, but Yeah, they played great in the end. They beat Rochester in the first round of
Yes.
regionals in a close game, and then ran into the top seed of Clarkston, and that was too much to handle at that time after Zyrich went down, and
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. It was a shame because the majority of the game was left, and
hmm
you're without your best player, arguably.
hmm
And yeah, it was a tough go. But he does have young guys coming back too.
Yeah, a lot of guys with got a lot of minutes and a lot of experience this year, so I'm sure his schedule is just going to be just as tough. He's
Yeah,
not going to
well,
make
we
it
look
any
forward
easy
to
on those guys.
Anybody get any mention at all in lacrosse?
Yeah, I think same thing. I think Zyrich obviously got nominated for some of the all conference. Jackson Rice was up there, and guys like Braden Walls again standing in front of the net. You got to give those guys their props, and Giacona Brody. Yeah, so
he played a
he'll
great
be a key
season.
role for the team next year. I think. Gosh, is it going to be a senior now next year? So
Yeah.
well,
oh, you still look the same.
yeah.
You're not getting any older. Well, let's move over to girls soccer, and they finished. Well, I have them at 9-7-3. It's hard to get that, but they were second in the league,
hmm
and they had a big win in the districts over Eisenhower, which is top team in their league. Your thoughts about them?
Yeah, kind of similar to lacrosse. Soccer doesn't shy down from any challenges either. Coach Trevor Foster, he kind of booked some of the tougher teams. They went up to Traverse City and played some teams out there, Grand Rapids, and so that they don't shy away either from any of the tough teams in the non-conference schedule. And then you throw in the MAC Red, which is one of the hardest conferences around, just loaded with the Ikes, the Dakotas, us,
even Utica's
yeah. So
good
all those
side.
games are challenging, and they were prepared. I think similar. I think they were only 2 or 3 games out of first place, and then ended up beating first place undefeated Eisenhower in first round of districts, like you mentioned. And
Yeah,
that game was electric and energy. I mean,
Ava Kelly scored that big goal.
yep. Yeah, and I think Sam Sackfield had scored a goal too,
Yes, yeah.
maybe to put it away or vice versa. But yeah, the energy of beating your rival in a game of win or go home.
That was fantastic there, and I will tell you that I going out and watching them, being at the field level, watching the kids go at it. I mean, I would not want to get out there. Those girls are vicious.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll slit your throat to get the ball,
Yep.
practically. So when they come on the show, they're all nice and sweet, and they don't,
Till the whistle blows.
Then the whistle blows, and they turn into like Tasmanian devils. They're crazy ladies. But I mentioned Ava Kelly. She was a pretty good instrumental part of that team. They have young goalkeeping, but Addison Harris is another good player. But who did anybody?
Yeah, I think Harris and then Lydia Hill were all state, either third team or honorable mention, so they definitely got a lot of recognition
And Lydia,
district.
Is she coming back?
She will be. Yep, she'll also be going into her senior season. So they have a lot of juniors that played a lot of valuable minutes for them. They'll also be losing a few key seniors from that team. But I think they're poised to make another run. They got Carmody coming back, Sackfield coming back, Hill, the goalkeepers like you mentioned,
Sam's
Lexi Meyer. So I mean, they definitely got a lot of
actually.
A lot of young pieces that'll contribute.
No relative of mine. I don't have that kind of athletic ability. But as I said, Sam Sackfield seems to be one of those special athletes, and she's a freshman?
She'll be going in. Yeah, she's sophomore. She'll be going into junior year.
Yeah, she's
the energy
closing speed.
Yeah, Energizer bunny. I mean, she's a 3-sport. Is it 3 or 4? 3-sport athlete. She's on the girls basketball team, leading the fast breaks. On the press. Just using that speed like you mentioned. And then she was all state in track, and
she reminds me of a lot of Layla Babich. It's similar. You can just tell they're athletes out there, the way they move and approach the game and stuff. It doesn't. It doesn't look like it comes too hard to them.
Yeah, and some people are blessed with natural ability, and then they, got
Or
to
there's
keep.
people like me that have no natural.
But they got to keep working at it to, because someone else is always pushing for their job and wants that same spot. So you can't sit complacent. And I think a lot of our athletes continue to, improve on their skills in the off season, trying to, take that next step.
Yeah, I look forward to Trevor's team next year. It looks like he's got some real good players coming back, a good nucleus, and he, like he said, there was a lot of players, JV, girls want to play the soccer, so it's very competitive.
Yeah, I mean, we have 3 programs, and unfortunately, there's some cuts that come with it because, like you mentioned, it's booming, and they've been successful, and he's done a great job every year of getting our girls competitive at the division titles, and always pushing for a district title, and moving on. So.
Yeah, he coaches pretty hard out there at the sidelines. He's pretty active,
yeah.
and you can hear him yelling out there at the
Yeah.
girls and stuff. But he's pretty good. These girls seem to respect him.
Yeah, I think some of the outside of soccer, the things that they do, as some benefits that the team has, and like I mentioned, they made a road trip out to Grand Rapids and Traverse City, and they do media days and team dinners and different team bonding activities. So I think some of the extracurriculars, if you will, that they provide is some of the other top notch that we offer compared to some of the other soccer teams in the area. So he does a really, really nice job outside of the X's and O's of the field.
Yeah, well, he's definitely very knowledgeable in that sport, and so I think you got a good one there.
Mm-hmm.
You got a new one at boys golf with Steve Himmel's.
No, Steve's been around. This would be his 6th or 7th season. Yeah.
Boy, he came on the show and like he was brand new.
Oh yeah, downplaying it.
Yeah, well, he actually works in engineering right where I work, engineering his firm. So between coaching and that, it's hard for him even to get out on the court to play.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think some of their practice times reflect some of that. I mean, they're usually getting out of there at 5:30, 6 o'clock when some of the leagues are kicking off or wrapping up type thing. So no, he's done a great job and kept our program in the MAC red and always competing for a division title. And we're gonna lose a lot of key pieces, Dom and Brent and some of those guys that have been on the
Dominic Deloria and Brent Dijalowski.
Yeah, those guys have key pieces that have been around for a long time and kept us up there. But
they can hit their low irons farther. I can hit my drive.
Yep, and accurate too. Yeah,
you got a good freshman that was on the show with Chase Laverol, and he looks like he's going to be a pretty good player. He really likes the game. He studies it, practices it.
Yeah, I think out of our regional lineup, he's the only one coming back. The rest are graduating between Brent and Dom and Tag and Camigo and then Chase. So I think, he might be the only one coming back. But I mean, you got Max Fountain, who was up and down with the varsity team this year, so he'll be a key player for the team next year. And I think there was another couple freshmen, and Joey Kako was another guy that's been on varsity for last year, and now he's on JV, kind of fluctuating. So I think they're going to be right back in the mix. And
well, freshmen,
guys with
if you can play, you can play. I mean, you can be a young freshman and play golf. That only helps the team more. Who anybody you get any special honors at all?
I think Dom. Dom won county champ, and then Chase and Dom were all MAC red conference players. So Dom is a special talent. I feel like he's been the number one on the golf team for at least since I've been here. And
is he available for the Romeo
football
football golf outing? I need a ringer.
Yeah, someone needs to sign him up.
I gotta sign him up.
He's going to Saginaw Valley golfing for them. So
that'd be great.
Yeah, he's a special talent on the course, and we'll miss him.
I'll have to get a hold of him and make him a ringer on my team because we have tough time selecting shots because they're all so bad. So this way we could just say, we'll just take Dom shot.
Yep, absolutely.
It'll be good.
Yeah,
be good enough for me. And girls varsity tennis had a really outstanding year as they accomplished their goal of making states, and a couple of top players there, Jade Salvatore and Trista Emile.
Yep.
Play particularly well. They have a good doubles tandem there. It's pretty exciting. I know that Coach Burr was excited about talking about them.
Yeah. He does a great job. He's very, as you know, very fiery type guy, and comes from the military background, so he's motivational, and his different tactics to get them fired up. Some work, some don't, but that comes with every coach. But yeah, he won MAC Coach of the Year for the Red, although the team came in, I think, second place in the Red.
They clinched
So
second place.
that shows some of the efforts that he's provided to the team, that his colleagues have recognized that and awarded him as Coach of the Year. So kudos to him. But yeah, again, like you mentioned, we're gonna miss Jade going forward. Trista, I know she had a couple different partners this
she's
year.
a volleyball player too.
Yeah, she was. Yep. So she's going to Saginaw for volleyball, and looking forward to seeing her career out there. She's special talent on both courts, on the volleyball court and the tennis court.
Yeah,
So,
she's pretty tall, and
yeah.
I guess that would probably maybe that puts a little power into her swing.
Yeah, and I think Matt kind of recruited some volleyball girls. Even on the JV level, there's some of the varsity volleyball girls that are out there, and on his varsity team, there's a handful of volleyball girls. So I think some of those skills definitely translate from one court to the next, and he took advantage of it.
He told me that he did recruit some. He goes, I like the girls that have determination and grit. Sound like the drill sergeant in Full Metal Jacket. But the girls seem to respond well. They like the game, and it looked like they got a pretty good JV team too.
Yeah, oh yeah, and we had a freshman JVB team, so 3 levels of tennis. So it's definitely growing in our school district, and I think it's just going to keep pushing our team forward.
So we look forward to that. Move forward to next year. Now track, I have not very much knowledge on, but I know there's some runners in track, both boys and girls, that did fairly well this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So both the boys and girls finished second in the Red, and Coach Mike Buslip and Coach Mike Lee, got them prepared all season. We hosted track regionals, which was the first time since I've been there, and it might have been the first time in a long time since we were given that honor. And,
a lot of commotion going on there.
And kudos to Buslip and Lee and Coach Arns and Coach Freeman and all on their staff for getting our facilities ready, and a lot of hard work and prep going into that, and kind of gave our runners some of the home field advantage, if you will. So we ended up sending 18 runners to the state finals in was it East Kentland or Rockford maybe? So they sent 18 runners out there, and between runners and field events. So few all-staters, Garissimo, and some of our relays were, all-state as well.
Had a pretty good 400 relay, didn't they?
Yeah, yep. On the boys and girls, they both were all-state. So, our kids performed well under the spotlight of the states, and they didn't shy down. Some of the girls were used to that with the girls cross country team winning state finals in the fall. So. A lot of those girls performed adamantly well, and on the track.
Well, you did have good distance runners too, as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was girls that could do the 3,200, or they could.
Annie Herboski and some of those other runners. Yep.
Yeah, they did. They do have a number of runners that can do that or fast.
Mm-hmm.
When you got a relay team, that's pretty good too.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Layla Babbage is an athlete. I think I heard she finished as the top freshman and on long jump at the state finals. So, if she sticks with it, sky's the limit for her on where she can, take off.
Yeah, well, I mean, she definitely has a special couple of moves in basketball where she's so quick, and then she just jumps, stops, and goes by people with a little hop step that she has. So she's a good athlete, and Sam Sackfield is just fast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's got, like I said before, a tremendous closing speed. So did anybody else make it on the girls all-state? Or?
Like you mentioned, the 4x4 for both the boys and the girls. Annie made it for her event. Off the top of my head, I know there was a couple more, and I feel bad for missing their names, but I think they had really successful season on qualifying as all-state. So kudos to them for doing that.
And I wonder if Coach Reines was looking at any of the sprinters.
Yeah, with Coach Mike Lee and Coach Arntz, are both on the football staff. I think there's definitely a pipeline between football and track, and trying to get them to cross-train between the two of them.
Well, they're going to need some speedy guys to run the football for sure, and the defensive backfield as well. They're gonna need some guys with some closing speed. So at least those are my observations.
Yeah.
But based on the guys that are leaving, like Victor Earl and
Sure.
Some of those guys. So it'll be interesting to see how the fall sports sort of lay themselves out and progress. You have any thoughts on the fall sports?
Yeah, looking forward to it. Like blink of an eye, it'll be here. They're already starting conditioning and weightlifting, and it doesn't seem to ever stop. The day school lets out, they're in the weight room and on the field. So between all sports, things are ramped up. Teams are going away to camp. Teams are having scrimmages and some of their activities here at the high school. So yeah, looking forward to it. I think they're all going to be pushing for continued success.
Is there any? I mean, we mentioned Layla and Sam Sackfield. Are any other special athletes that you're looking forward to see come back and play?
I think just teams in general. Our boys soccer team had won a division last year in the MAC White, and they're moving up to the MAC Red. So Coach Vinny Vasilevsky will always get those guys prepared. They're losing 4 or 5 seniors that were, key contributors, probably even more than that. But he's got some young pieces with Burke and, a lot of guys that can contribute to his program. So I'm looking forward to the soccer team. And like you mentioned, boys tennis made the state finals.
He plans on going to state finals with boys tennis.
Yeah. So I think he's, Matt Burr is going to keep pushing them to keep taking the next step. So, tennis is going to be right there. And then the cross-country team, the girls are primed to make another run at it. And no pun intended, but, I feel like all 5 or 6 of those runners are coming back. If not 4 out of the 5 or 5 of the 6 are coming back. So they're poised to make another state championship run. And, football, Coach Reines is always going to get those guys ready to prepare. And
they'll fight hard every game.
Yeah.
Yep. That's one thing, especially that Stevenson game last year where you thought they were done.
Was it triple overtime or double overtime?
You thought they were done, and they came back and won that game. It was probably one of the most impressive victories in high school football I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Comebacks, anyway. So they'll be ready to go, and you've got in the fall the girls golf will be out there, so we'll have to see what they look like.
And volleyball won a district title. I know they're losing a lot of key pieces off that team, but there's also some young athletes that contributed, some freshmen and sophomores that were up on varsity that contributed. So hopefully they're back, and they had a strong JV season. So I think some of those pieces can reload, and I think they'll just be just as competitive. So looking forward to
we look forward to
the revamped team.
Yeah, we look forward to the fall sports, and we had fun covering the spring sports. We want to thank you for coming and sharing the information with us.
Yeah, anytime.
And we're going to pick it up probably in a few more months with the start of the fall sports. So it'll be an exciting time here in Romeo come August. So for everybody here at the Mitt TV studios, and I'm Tim Meyer saying thank you for joining us. And if you'd like to get a good review of the season for all the Romeo Sports spring teams or even the winners, we have Romeo Sports Recap Show on the YouTube. You can pick those up and get some inside information on how they work and who's important. Thank you for joining us. So long, everyone.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to this episode of the Romeo Sports Recap Show, powered by the Mitt TV. Remember, this show is available on both YouTube and Spotify. You can subscribe to the Mitt TV YouTube page and click the notification bell to stay up to date on the latest episodes of the Romeo Sports Recap. Or you can find us on Spotify and follow our podcast, Romeo Sports Recap. From the Mitt TV, I'm Tim Meyer, signing off with a final word from our sponsors.
This podcast is powered by the Mitt TV of Romeo, Michigan. If you're looking to start a podcast for your business or personal use, look no further than the Mitt TV. They can get you access to equipment, a production engineer, and can even edit your podcast. That's all right here at the Mitt TV of Romeo, Michigan. And you can contact them right now via email at mitt.tvpodcast@gmail.com. That's mitt.tvpodcast@gmail.com.